Hi everyone, welcome to my financial climb where I'm going to be documenting my financial process as I kind of walk through this thing of life. Another reason why I'm making this channel is because I think it will be more relatable to people. Um, my problem in the past has been like when I first started getting into finance, I was started reading things on like Yahoo Finance, just random articles that would pop up on there, and just wasn't as relatable to me because it's people making six figures and it's not anything that I can relate to remotely. So whatever it is that they're doing, I can't apply to myself. So therefore, it doesn't help me as much. Yes, you can get some kind of strategies going, but when you're making that much money, it's much easier to build wealth, especially if you monitor your expenses to keep your expenses low and your incomes high to make an abundance to actually invest. I make much less than that. I think that I make slightly under 60 grand, which I think is probably more in the wheelhouse of other people. So that it's not like reading something about, oh, I paid off 80 grand in 8 months, or whatever. Find out how I did it. And you read the article, it's like, well, our family of three moved from our $600,000 house down to a $300,000 house, and we paid off the debt that way. It's like, okay, great, but that's not relatable to me. So I feel like we need more people to kind of be relatable to, and that's kind of where I'm going to be coming from on this. There are other people who are in real estate giving out financial advice, and that's great too. But again, I don't make that kind of money, so I'm not able to apply it as much to myself. So maybe with my income is more along the level of you guys are watching, and then therefore you feel better about applying similar strategies to your own financial journey. So that's kind of my idea of this channel. I think people will be able to connect with it a little bit more, and we'll be able to have a better discussion as a group of similar incomes that we're able to apply and go through this journey. I'm going to talk about what I've experienced in my past, ideas that I have for the future. It gives me a place to talk with others who are just getting into it and are just as curious as I am as to how to navigate things in your life financially. I want to go over some strategies that I've kind of thought about in my head and try to figure out what is the best way to go about doing things. Some of it is from a strategic look at it, some of it is efficiency, some of it is strategic, and kind of share that with you all. I'm not a financial expert at all. This is just kind of something for me to look back on, see kind of where I've come from and where I am going to today. And if others can benefit from that, then great. That's excellent. That's kind of what I want to do. I think in this country, we finances become too taboo to where people don't want to talk about it. They're afraid to talk about it. They're embarrassed to talk about it one way or another. And I think it's crippling us as a country. When you look and see numbers that are, through reports and studies, and you just see how far behind we are as far as preparing ourselves for either an emergency that comes up, the unexpected cost that we have to worry about, or just even our retirement. Some people aren't going to be able to retire because they weren't prepared for it. And some of that is because we weren't taught by our parents, or we weren't educated by it in high school or college or whatever, or we didn't have a mentor. This it's for a lot of different reasons why. And I think we just need to start talking about it, because if we don't start talking about it, then we're going to constantly be in the same predicament years and years and years from now. I mean, we're in the 2000s, well into the 2000s at this point, and you're still seeing how the average retirement account doesn't even have $500,000 in it, or even $200,000 in it, or and if you look at the median numbers, it's much worse than that. So I think that we all need to start talking about it, and whether it's me as my own responsibility to kind of share with it and what I've taken, I've also just shared what I can with my family, because I figure it's kind of my responsibility being kind of educated with it, or well read about certain things, where I should be sharing it with them and trying to help better their lives as well. if I can. All we can really do is share information with one another, and then it's up to each of us to really take that information and actually do something with it. The whole you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink type thing. That's the same thing applies here. So I want us to get us to talk about it. So this is just kind of an introductory video. I've been wanting to do this for a long time now, just because I think that because like I said, we need to talk about it, and I just kept prolonging it. So this is just me going ahead and doing it. We're in quarantine. There's not much to do anyway right now. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with this, just to go ahead and get it started. And plus, this is also a critical time in my life because I am getting to a point where a lot of things are going to be happening very, very quickly in the next 2 to 3 months. So I need to be preparing myself because there's a lot of different topics to discuss coming along the way. So I might as well start now because the videos, there'll be a more frequency of videos coming up, whether it's talking about debt, the stimulus package that's coming out and the checks that we're receiving, IRAs and working around those, 401k, anything else. I mean, there's a lot to really talk about. So that's kind of what I'm starting with here. If any of y'all are interested in following with the journey, you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button and be lookout for my videos that are coming out. And feel free to join in with a discussion. I think this will be a great learning process for a lot of people, including myself. I expect to be learning some from you guys. We're all at different stages of our journey, whether it's just getting started or several years down the road, or maybe you're even preparing for retirement and you somehow came across this video. I would really like, my goal would be to reach a lot of young people because they're the ones who are actually able to create some serious wealth and change not only their own lives but their family tree. So that's kind of what I would like to do. But anybody of any age can really benefit from talking about finances and just becoming educated, whether it's learning from other people's experiences, doing some reading on yourself, looking at calculations. I'm a very analytical person, so I learn from crunching numbers a lot and building models. So that's kind of what I'm preparing to do. And also, this is going to be, I'm not a very artistic person, so I don't foresee myself. I mean, maybe I will in the future with future videos as I get more comfortable with making these videos. The editing is going to be very raw. I may do some screen caps and things like that, or some easy graphics, but I don't foresee myself doing anything fancy with like doing some cut editing or some B-roll film. Maybe I'll get into B-roll films. I have a lot going on in my life, and this is just more so to get the information out there. It's not meant to be fancy. Maybe someone else would be interested in editing it, my stuff down the road, or maybe I just take it upon myself to go and learning to it. But the most important part for me is to get information out. I think that's the more interesting part of what it is that I'm going to be discussing. Is the information is much more valuable than visually, although I understand that that's what attracts people's attention is when you make things prettier, more presentable. And so that, again, I may have to have no other choice but to go down that route and learn how to do that. But for now, I just want to get the information out as much as I possibly can. This is also a channel that I'm going to be very transparent with. There's not really much I'm trying to hide from you guys. I'll be talking about how much I make, how I do things, how much I own, like my net worth, whatever. Because I think the more that you all know with what I'm dealing with, then I think you guys will be able to understand where I'm coming from. And maybe by seeing those numbers or what I'm dealing with, you're able to understand why I do certain things versus others, or go about doing things differently than what maybe others do, or maybe what I may have done in the past or what I'm preparing for. It kind of gives you a better idea of where I'm coming from. So that's kind of what I'm expecting with that. I expect to show as much as I possibly can because I think, dealing with numbers, especially with finances, it means more knowing where someone's coming from. So I want to be as transparent as I can with that. And yeah, like I said, hit the subscribe button, and I look forward to talking to you all in some future videos.